Hi, this is Stevie D.
And I'm Keith. We're from Buckcherry, and this is Marshall. Hey, welcome to Marshall. We decided today to actually interview each other and talk to each other about our favorite Marshall amps and ask each other some questions. And this is not scripted. We're going to fly off the cuff and see what kind of interesting stuff we can get. Stevie, tell me about your first Marshall ever.
My first Marshall ever was, it was a 50-watt metal front. And I know there was some guys in my neighborhood that had JMPs that sounded a little bit heavier. And I remember there was a couple 800s out there, but I wanted to have that JMP sound. So what my friend did was we took the guts out of our friend's. He never played. So what we did was he took the guts out of his amp and switched them with the guts of my amp. It didn't fit right.
Of course not.
But the guy didn't know, and that was my first experience. It was very dishonest, I probably owe him an amends of some sort. But,
Sure. You'll get to that.
Yeah, I've been after that sound for forever.
What sound on record made you say, I'm going to play a Marshall?
Growing up, all my favorite guitar players. So, like, it started with Hendrix. It started, right around that same time was Jimmy Page, Angus, and Malcolm. Those were the first memories. And also in posters I'd see, that was, the iconic image of Marshall's, the sound. That was the sound I wanted, That's kind of the sound that we always A-B here at the studio,
Yeah, that's it.
How about you?
What about me?
Well,
I'm an Aquarius.
Let me ask you this: long walks on the beach.
Long walks on the beach.
What are your earliest memories of you and Marshall?
My first ever Marshall amp. Okay.
Yeah.
I walked into there was this used guitar store. I grew up outside of Pittsburgh, and there was this used guitar shop, and I was in a band. I just started playing guitar. I needed an amplifier, and I'm looking through all this used stuff, and this guy goes. I was asking him prices, I was just a kid, and the guy goes, well, you could get that, but that's the holy grail of Marshalls, and he points to the 100-watt Super Lead. Okay. And it was a metal front, it wasn't a plexi, but he's like, that's the holy grail. And I remember looking around and seeing the price tag, and I couldn't afford it. I had like $300, figured I'd get an amp. And there are other amps there for $300, so I left without an amp, and I saved my money for like another month of like mowing lawns and whatever I did.
Right.
And I came back, and the amp was still there, and I bought it.
Nice.
And then that was my first. I think I had like a silver face Fender Twin or something before that, or something that just was not, just wasn't getting it. It wasn't a Marsh. Didn't have that sound.
Right.
Didn't sound like the records that I was listening to.
Right.
And I got that 100-watt Super Lead, and it was ungodly loud. It was far too loud for what I was doing, but I played it anyway.
Right.
And everyone was always saying turn down. I tried, putting a blanket over the cabinet, turning the cabinet backwards.
What kind of cab did you use? Speakers.
At the time, it was like a 1968 cabinet with probably 75-watt speakers, and I fell in love with the sound of the 75-watt speakers and the 100-watt head.
I think it's funny that we started off with these amps, and we've tried. I know, like in the last 5-6 years of touring, we've tried every other amp just to see. We go into all the local stores, and it always comes full circle back to the tone that we were using as kids.
And what's really funny is everybody makes these amps, and it's Marshall-esque, and that's kind of like it's ironic that that's like the benchmark everyone compares it to. It's like a Marshall, but does this, or it sounds just like a Marshall.
Right.
Obviously, why not just get a Marshall?
Right.
And that always seems. I've gone full circle. I've played every boutique amp. You watch me show up with them.
Look at this. I'm like, oh no, But yeah.
And then the thing that really kind of turned me around from all that was we've been doing these fly gigs, and we rent gear on the road to do these one-off shows. We don't. It's obviously too costly for us to cart all of our stuff. So I'll rent a Marshall and I'll just plug it in and go. Why am I not using Marshalls all the time?
Yeah.
So
our sound guy said, from the front of house was always like your tone best when you're using Marshall.
Yeah. So I mean, it kind of became obvious that I've tried all the boutique stuff, and it always comes back to Marshall. I think just having the logo on the amp makes it sound better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we had a good time today
We did.
talking about Marshall amps.
Thank you very much.
For more information on us, you can go to buckcherry.com. Follow us on @buckcherry on Twitter, and we'll see you next time.